Hi, a very good evening to one and all, and a warm welcome to all our viewers who have joined this program. Welcome to our YouTube channel, Skepta. I'm your host, Dr. Mani Iyer. Before we start, I request you, all of you, to please subscribe our channel, uh, Skepta, and also view this video and like this video podcast as well, and share it with all your friends and relatives and colleagues. This will go in a long way in supporting our channel and help us to produce many more such interesting programs and videos. All right, let's then begin. Let me start with a question. How many of you have ever lain awake at 2 a.m. wondering, am I doing this right? If your hand went up, welcome to parenting, a job that comes with no manual, yet gets judged more than almost any other. Today, we are going to talk about what psychology and research actually say about good parenting. Not Instagram, not random advice from well meaning friends or relatives, but decades of evidence based research. That is, raising resilient kids, evidence based parenting from a psychological lens. Let's get into it. Before we go, I would like to welcome our guest of the day, Ms. Medhavi Sati. Medhavi Sati is a rehabilitation and clinical psychologist. She holds an M.Phil degree in rehabilitation psychology, recognized by the Rehabilitation Council of India. She completed a 6-month internship at the Composite Regional Centre, Lucknow, under Indian Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, and she has also worked at Government Medical College and Hospital, Haldwani, and Sushila Tiwari Government Hospital, where she worked closely with children and families on developmental and behavioral concerns. She she has she has done her M.Phil and her thesis was on resilience and coping in high stress professionals, which connects directly to what we are discussing today, how children learn resilience, how we as parents can help them build it. So, without much ado, um, I would like to hand it over to our guest of the day, Ms. Medhavi Sati. Ms. Medhavi Sati, over to you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the warm welcome. It feels great to be here. So, let's start with an honest observation. The problem, why parenting feels harder than ever. So, parenting has always been hard, but today's parents, they face a uniquely modern kind of pressure. First, there is an information overload. Every parent now has a phone with thousands of parenting tips, so most of which contradict each other. This really creates a decision fatigue. So many options that it becomes hard to decide anything at all. Second, there is comparison culture. Social media, it shows every other child looking perfect. The perfect birthday party, the perfect grades, the perfect behavior. And that comparison creates very real anxiety, especially for parents. Thirdly, and this is the most important point, research clearly shows that the early years are the most critical for brain development. So the pressure parents feel, am I missing something important, is psychologically valid. But it doesn't mean you need to be perfect. It means there are a handful of specific things that genuinely matter, and everything else is just a noise. So our today's goal is simple: cut through the noise. and focus only on what the research actually show works.
So,
What
yeah, I would like to ask, what does the science actually say, ma'am, regarding this?
uh, we will start with the foundation of this thing. Like, what does parenting research actually say? So, we know that both nature and nurture matter. Nature is like what how you are born, your genetics, and nurture is how your environment shapes you as a person, as an adolescent, in every phase of your development. So every child is born with a temperament. Some are naturally calm, some naturally intense, but the environment, especially the parents' response, shapes how that temperament develops. You can rewrite a child's personality, but you are the biggest influence on how that personality gets expressed. Second, consistency matters more than perfection. Decades of attachment and child development research show again and again the child don't need perfect parents. They need good enough parents. People who are consistently present, who repair after mistakes, and who love them unconditionally, regardless of their behavior. Thirdly, perhaps the most reassuring point of all, parenting is a set of specific learnable skills. It isn't a personality trait you either have or don't have. It is a skill set. And like any skill set, it can be learned. The four parenting styles, which we will now look upon, and what are their effects. So, let's look on how the decades of research have classified parenting styles. A psychologist, Diana Baumrind, developed a framework that's still used in psychology today. There are four parenting styles based on two dimensions: how much warmth there is and how much structure or control there is. So, first one is the authoritative parenting. High warmth, high structure. This style holds rules and explains them with warmth. Here's the rule, and here's why. Second, authoritarian. Low warmth, high structure. The because I said so style. Rules exist, but explanation and emotional warmth are limited. Third one is the permissive. High warmth, low structure. Lots of love, but very few boundaries. Do whatever you like. I love you regardless. And the fourth one is the neglectful or uninvolved. Low warmth, low structure. Neither rules nor emotional involvement. Now, these aren't just labels. There's decades of research on the outcome each one produces, which we will look into the next. What happens to the child in each style? So, what does the research say about the outcome of each style is really important, because children are raised with authoritative parenting show on an average the best outcome: better emotional regulation, better academic performance, higher self-esteem, and stronger social skills. The combination warmth plus structure tells a child, I am safe and there are expectations I am capable of meeting. Children raised with authoritarian parenting often appear obedient, but the research shows higher anxiety, lower self esteem, and weaker independent decision making. Because, of course, they are learned the what, but never the why. Children raised with permissive parenting often struggles with self-control and respecting boundaries because they never got consistent practice with them. And neglectful parenting. the lowest in both warmth and structure. It produces the most concerning outcome: attachment difficulties, emotional regulation problems, and a higher risk of mental health challenges in later life. Here's the important part: these aren't rigid boxes. Most parents are a mix, and it can change, but the direction you consciously move in matters.
So, what are the psychological perspectives, inferences, and comments now?
So, first we'll talk about the and attachment, which is also called the invisible bond. So, let's go deeper now into the attachment theory, which comes from the work of psychologist John Bowlby and the researcher Mary Ainsworth, and remains central to the psychology today. Attachment. Attachment refers to the emotional bond the child forms with their primary caregiver. When a child's needs, hunger, fear, distress are met consistently and sensitively, they develop secure attachment. This child feels confident exploring the world because they know there's a safe base to return if something goes wrong. When responses are inconsistent or emotional needs are repetitively ignored, a child may develop insecure attachment, which research has linked to later difficulties with relationships, trust, and emotional regulation. Here's the most important thing to understand: attachment style isn't built from one big moment. It's built from thousands of small everyday moments. When the child cries, does someone know, come to him, talk to him? When a child is scared, do they get comforted? Those small, small moments repeated again and again are what build attachment. Emotional, secondly, we will talk about the emotional coaching and the impact of chronic stress. Emotions, because there are a very practical insight on emotions. Researcher John Gottman classified parents into two broad categories: emotion coaching parents and emotion dismissing parents. Emotion coaching parents validate a child's feelings, even when the feeling is inconvenient, and then help them to learn manage it. Emotional dismissing parents, on the other hand, they minimize or ignore feelings. They say lines like, "Stop crying," over something so small. Research clearly shows that child raised with emotional coaching have better emotional regulation, better friendships, and better mental health outcomes. There's one more thing worth discussing: the effect of chronic stress on a child's brain. Adverse childhood experiences, which we often refer to as ACEs, such as chronic yelling, harsh punishment, or household instability, were the subject of a landmark study that found high adverse childhood experiences scores are strongly linked to physical and mental health problems in adulthood. This doesn't mean one bad day will ruin a child. It means chronic, repetitive stress leaves an actual, measurable mark on brain's development. Constant comparing of child to other children, even in jokes, not paying enough attention to their emotions, dismissing them, they create great impact on their personality, which is still developing. The good news is repair is possible. If you ever lose your temper, raise your voice, or make a mistake, which every parent does, research also shows that repairing afterwards, saying sorry, rebuilding connection matters just as much as not making the mistake in the first place.
Oh,
You
no,
know,
very nice. Yeah. Sorry, ma'am.
yes. So, every person makes mistake, and that's how they shape their environment, their personality overall, while they reach up to a stage where their personality, gets static. And that shaping is done with making mistakes, learning from experiences. So, parenting is not, a hard and fast rule that this is the way to parent, this is the way. Every child needs different parenting. And parents also are humans, so they can make mistake. But after a mistake, you know, repairing that thing, going to the child, maintaining emotional contact. There is no harm in saying sorry to your child, just hugging them, just making them feel that their views matter, their opinions matter, so that their self esteem doesn't go low, so that they are capable of making their decisions. It's really important.
Very nice to hear that, ma'am. So, and very informative about the various parenting styles and the various outcomes and all that. So, thank you very much for that. Now, we would like to know some practical way, the takeaways, like how actually, what are the practical strategies, what we can practically do, and what are the takeaways. So, if you could shed some light on that, I would really appreciate that.
So, there is, as I told, there is no hard and fast rule of parenting. Believe that there is connection before correction. So, how do we put all into practice? First principle, connection before correction. When a child misbehaves, the first instinct is to correct immediately, just yelling at them and scolding them. But research suggests building emotional connection first, get down to their level, name their feeling, like it looks like you're really frustrated, and then address the behavior. This works because when a child is emotionally dysregulated, their logical brain goes offline. You have to calm them first before teaching, you know, can actually land into their mind. Secondly, use consequences as a teaching tool rather than punishment. Natural and logical consequences. Like if you don't put your toy away, it won't be available tomorrow. Build an understanding between behavior and outcome rather than relying on fear. Third, calibrate your expectations to your child's developmental age. It's really important to not put expectation to your child's mind not according to your developmental age. Like, you know, sometimes confusing them with things like, now you are a big child, now you're a grown up, you should be doing things this way. But the second things are not on the favor of the parent, they will be like, you are just a kid and you need to behave this way. So that creates an confusing environment in the child mind, you know. A 3-year-old having a tantrum isn't being manipulative. Their brain is still learning emotional regulation. Understanding this turns frustration into empathy. Put yourself in their shoes. Understand that still their understanding to the environment, to the situations is building. And emotions are the only way for them to communicate in a better way. Now, let's come to how repair and routine and parent self care is done. Repair matters. As told before, if you raise your voice or lose patience, which happens to everyone, going back afterwards and saying, I was frustrated earlier and I shouldn't have spoken that way. I am sorry. It teaches your child that relationships can be repaired after mistakes. That an essential emotional skill they are learning from you.
I'm in a meeting, Shamini. I'll just call you back.
Routine and predictability give children a sense of security, especially for young children whose world already feels unpredictable. There should be a consistent bedtime, a consistent daily structure. These small things help regulate a child's nervous system. And finally, the point that gets ignored the most, a parent's own mental health matters. You cannot pour an empty cup, you know, you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you are burnt out, chronically stressed, or unsupported, it reaches your child directly. Children are incredibly sensitive to picking up on their parents' emotional state. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's a part of parenting itself. Being in constant stress, constant, bad mood, or, sometimes hormonal fluctuations, it happens with parents. They have burnouts, they have, you know, um, problems, they feel anxious, they feel depressed, they might feel problems with their mental health. And it's really important for them to take help from professionals if it seems serious. It's not normal for parents to get agitated every single time with their child. Constant taunts, constant, um, getting agitated, getting irritated with the child, making, only seeing the pessimistic side of their child development, of their child's work, constant, comparing. It somehow reflect to the parents' mental health, which needs to be taken care of. If you are not mentally healthy, you cannot bring developmentally, mentally healthy child. The things get transferred. The personality of a parent who is anxious, it gets transferred down to the child. And in their life, they might also feel anxious.
Thank you very much, ma'am. So that was a very good explanation about parenting and the practical takeaways and this one. Uh, so I think we can summarize at this point. We can do some reflections and summarize and conclude. Maybe if it's possible, please do so.
Sure. So basically, good parenting in the end, it isn't perfection. Pediatrician and psychoanalyst Donald Winnicott coined a term decades ago that's just as relevant as today: the good enough parent. You don't need to get everything right. You need to be consistently present, repair after mistakes, and offer structure alongside unconditional warmth. Attachment, it's attachment, emotion coaching, and developmentally appropriate expectations together form the foundation on which resilient, emotionally healthy children grow. And all of it can be learned. None of it is a fixed personality trait. So before we open the floor, I want to leave you with a question. Starting today, what's one small change you could try, whether it's connection before correction or repair conversation you have been meaning to have? Try just that one thing this week. You don't need perfection. You just need that one step. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Medhavi ji. It was, I think, a very great presentation on your part, and you know, very awesome one as well. And it really went into the heart of the matter about parenting and parenting children. And many people may not be aware. And sometimes we are also, I could say that I was also not aware of the various ways in which, parenting, there are the things about parenting, what is good, what is not good, and, uh, where you have to be emotionally, give emotional warmth, and where you have to bring in structure and provide a secure environment, etc. So it's not just one thing fits for everybody, one thing, but it's a combination of styles and combination of things, and depending on the circumstances, you need to adapt yourself to the to your parenting style according to the circumstances and the what the child is going through. So I think that was really superb on your part, and I think every parent would love to see this presentation, and I think it was really great, and thank you very much for the same. And you also you took a time off from a busy schedule and came on a Tuesday afternoon and talked to us. I thank you very much for that. We also would like to see you more on our platform, and maybe some other time. I mean, maybe more regularly. And so we would like to see you soon. And so with that, I would like to, thank you very much and take leave of you. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon on another program on another day. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate the same. Thanks a lot, Medhavi ji.
Thank you, sir. It means a lot, and I would request parents to, ask questions on the comment sections, which would be taken further in another video if we can. So, yes, thank you.
Yeah, we would request all the audience and people who are also going to watch the video to leave your comments and questions in the comments box in our of this video podcast, so that we can collect the same, and we can put it across to Ms. Neela Benji, where she can take all the questions and then put it together as a small video podcast. So we will definitely do that, ma'am, and we will definitely share the feedback and the questions with you. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Have a great afternoon and evening and the rest of the day. Thanks a lot. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.